Welcome to Inspired Learning in a Digital World, the podcast about the future of learning. My name is Wilma and I'm very glad you're with me today. By a very lucky coincidence, I once again stumbled across someone who shapes the future of learning in the metaverse, Philippe. Together with his brother Patrice and another founder, Philippe started his company Engage more than 3 years ago. Engage focuses on innovative and immersive training experiences, specifically made for the insurance industry. In our interview, we talk about the potential of the metaverse as a new evolutionary stage of the internet. Philippe explains how he and his company are bringing together various disruptive technologies like VR, blockchain, NFTs, and crypto to increase learner engagement. He calls this the seamless learning approach, which takes the idea of blended learning to a very new level. And now, enjoy the podcast. I'm so happy to have you in my little apartment here in Las Palmas, Philippe. It's really great because I think it's the second interview that I'm actually doing in person, and I'm super excited that you are sitting in front of me and I don't have to look at the webcam all the time. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I feel really privileged.
I hope that you will still say that at the end of the interview. But
We'll see. At least I have coffee for now. So,
That's true.
It starts well.
Great. I think it's really amazing how we met, because we actually met at a hike 2 weeks ago. And
Correct.
We had a very nice conversation. You were asking me what I'm doing, and I was telling you about online training, digital learning, trying to put it in easy words so you understand. And then you were like, oh, you know what? We are in the same area, so you don't even have to explain, and it's so great. And finally, I can talk to somebody who actually understands what we are doing as well. And we were talking the whole time and having so much in common, even knowing the same people, which is really amazing.
Yeah.
There was a very great conversation after that we met, and you told me what your company is doing, and I said, we have to do definitely a podcast interview because I have to talk to you and also share that with the world. So that's why you're here today.
I'm really excited about it.
You're also active in the area of online training, digital learning, and the metaverse. Maybe you can just share a little bit about what you're doing, why are you doing what you're doing, and what is your company doing?
What we do is engaging training for insurance companies.
Yeah.
So we create online courses, simulators, games, everything that can help an insurance company, a reinsurance company, an insurance broker train their employees or their clients.
These are all learning components, building blocks. They are part of our solution, a modular platform for seamless learning. Look at it like a puzzle that we compose and customize together with the client.
That sounds really, really interesting. Let's dig a little bit deeper into that in a moment. But what I would really like to understand first is, why are you doing that? What is your curriculum? What did you do before? And why do you want to create the metaverse of learning?
Oh, we have a passion for learning. Learn languages, that's my hobby, that's my passion.
Yeah.
Learn to play the guitar, learn about tech, AI, any topic. We love learning in our team. And actually, when I was at school, it was boring for me. Sorry to say this. Then I went to big companies and wow, that's going to be fantastic training. In my experience at that time, it was the same. I was quite bored. I was thinking, can we make sure that people who learn have a smile? And I get the goosebumps saying this, How do you make sure that the people you train say, I want more? How could I have done for myself to say, I want to stay here, I want to do more, I want to learn more, which is what I normally do. And we couldn't find this anywhere. So we said, we need a more immersive, a more engaging way of learning. And we all love learning. And we probably will come to that. But I've seen some kids who were absolutely not interested in normal classroom training. And when we moved them to the metaverse, or let's be more precise, to the virtual world, they changed. And they were completely engaged, involved in the learning. While before they were just crossing their arms and saying, hey, I'm not going to do anything with you guys. So it's an amazing thing. And learning is one of the most beautiful things and important things we can do as humans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was really impressed when you told me that you have learned like 19 languages.
Come on, that was just to show off.
Okay.
So I mumble
Yeah.
19 languages.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's more accurate, actually.
Yeah, but I think that shows that you have a real passion for learning. You also said that you were starting off like that. So initially, you wanted to create some kind of language learning in the virtual world. I think that was your initial plan, right? But then you switched to insurance topics. Why did that change come along?
You do have a good memory, Wilma. You did listen to what I said during the hike.
While I was walking, multitasking.
Yeah, I can see that. I could not do that. Yeah, so I come from I worked in big companies for many years. And it was more like on the management consulting side, on the tech side for financial services. But my real passion is learning languages. And I said, when I'm going to stop my life in the corporate world and do something different, I want to create a language school. And at that time, I lived in Hong Kong. And I said, I'm going to create my first company in Hong Kong. And it's going to be a language school that will do blended learning, where people will come to our offices in Hong Kong, and then they will be able to go on our LMS, take some extra courses, and then they will be able to go in a virtual world and experience the language, the culture of the language itself. So that was the vision.
Yeah, and then you didn't continue with that. What was the reason that you said it's too difficult, too complicated, or it's difficult to find customers and clients, they are not open for that? Or why did you change to the insurance?
Let's face it now, nobody really pays much for language learning. It's a nice thing you do for fun. If I buy myself a little book, or you do the Duolingo or Babel, and if you pay €5, it's already too much for most people.
That's true.
So there's not much of a business, and companies do not invest anymore in this. I talked with quite a few owners of language schools in Switzerland, Hong Kong, and other places, and they say the same thing. Some might still make it, but it's become much, much harder. And you need a USP. Our USP is about engaging learning. The insurance part, it's non-sexy, apparently. But actually, it's a very interesting industry, which is not known that well. So that's why we said, well, we have it. We have the tech. We have the knowledge to do engaging digital training, and we have the knowledge about insurance. We put them together, and that's what gave a company, Engage Institute. Yeah.
Right. And you're doing that, I think you co-founded the company together with your brother, right?
Yeah. And another third person, Marion.
I love that because, as you know, I also founded my company together with my sister, Twins for Change, and we have so many things in common. I think that's really amazing if you have a sibling that you have a very close relationship to, and then you can start something like that together and shape it together.
But wait a second. I mean, for you are real twins.
Yeah.
A lot of people now say that we are quite similar. Some people think we are twins, but we are not.
Yeah, I know. But you're siblings, so
yeah, exactly.
That's great. So tell me a little bit more about what exactly you're doing. You were already mentioning that you have courses, online courses, that you have an LMS, that you have built a virtual world. What exactly are these different elements and how do they come together? Because I remember as well that you talked during the hike about wanting to leverage the best out of blended learning scenarios. So you're not just going to the metaverse or to virtual 3D worlds and then having an interactive experience. You also want to combine synchronous and asynchronous learning experiences because it makes sense, right? So how do you do that, and how do all your products come together into that seamless learning experience?
So here you've used quite a lot of concepts, and I'm going to add one, the flipped classroom.
Yeah.
I think we talked about
it
that.
as well.
So basically, I'm a great fan of studying by myself, doing my homework, studying, learning at my speed.
Yeah.
At school it goes too fast, too slow for me. It's not my speed. When I have a question, when I need something, I need help, a coach, a specialist who can help me. I don't need a teacher to read things in front of me.
Absolutely.
So that's the exactly thing, is like offering a system where people can learn at their pace on the LMS, for example. And then you say, hey, but I know these things. So you go on a video conferencing, or you go to a physical classroom and ask questions. And then you say, but I could experience maybe in insurance, there is these claims, there is a house fire. How do you analyze this? So you might want to go in a game where you can discover these things as if you were in a physical world experiencing it. So putting different learning activities that are in different environments, virtual or physical, blended learning, in a seamless way. So you move from one to the next without friction, seamless learning.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because if you use 3D worlds for the sake of teaching something, like from trainer to participants, and it's just mere talking, then it's wasted time, right? Because you should use the 3D worlds and also metaverse experiences in order to engage with the people and to make them collaborate or whatever, ask their questions and work together on solutions and build things maybe together, rather than just, one-to-many communication from one trainer to many. So I really like the idea. A lot of people understand still blended learning as combining physical classroom experience with digital learning assets like video training. I always said I don't think that's it. I think it's much more than that. It can be also a fully digital experience. And I think it's nice because you're actually replacing the physical classroom experience by a virtual classroom experience, which is very interactive, and at the same time you're giving people the opportunity to also learn at their own pace, maybe to repeat content afterwards to make it more sustainable, right?
Yeah, and also what I've really learned, because I was doing some teaching myself, we all have different ways of learning. So you cannot have one size fits all. Some people love the physical classroom, and there should be place for that.
Absolutely.
Where you go physically and you have the person in front of you. And sometimes some more maybe shy people can hide behind an avatar, and you feel comfortable and doing this and learning this way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I definitely think that you have to cater for different learner needs, and it's not as easy as saying this is the learner type and that person will always be learning like that. And it might be also in different circumstances that you need something else. And especially if you tackle maybe topics that are not in your comfort zone, you might need a little bit more assistance versus topics that might be easier for you, and that's very individual. That's not the same for everybody. So I really like it.
I have one of my very good friends, Peter, if he listens to the podcast, many years ago told me, Philippe, I've done a PhD. I said, why are you doing this PhD when we met? So it's PhD, but must you're not going to understand it. So, okay, cool. It's about something. So what is it about? Mass customization. And I remember my impression at that time said, this is fantastic. And I get the goosebump now. This is what it is about. These two words are opposite, the mass and the customization. But this is what we need to do for real effective learning. We need to do a learning program just for you, for your specific need. And now thanks to AI and these seamless learning, and when you have to bring the right learning activities at the right moment, depending on your profile. This is really effective training.
Absolutely. And I think it's nice because the customization comes from being able as well, going through the content in your own pace, repeating it if you need more time, but then also with getting the assistance from somebody and asking your individual questions and things like that. So it's a good way to do that. Absolutely. So when you look at the vision of your company, what is it like? What do you want to achieve long term with your company?
Ooh,
with your big,
wow! I don't know if I can say that to you now. Wow!
Whatever you can share, so we don't have to cut the podcast afterwards.
Okay. We want to become the number one training company for insurance. Blended learning for insurance companies. We want to be the number one within the next 5 years.
Wow, okay, that's a big vision.
But it is possible because we already have substantial clients and very prominent people helping us, great team. The products, we did a lot of R&D, prepared all the products. Each product has been tested by clients. We have references in these things. So it is totally possible. But it took us a lot of time to set it up.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, you need a big vision, right? To be able to motivate yourself and to be creating something big. You say the products have been tested by clients. Can you give a very concrete example of what such a blended learning journey would look like, and which part of your company or products come in?
Oh, totally. I'm going to use an example from the insurance world. Okay. So, the value chain. So from the time the insurance company sells an insurance to you, all the way to, you have your paper, you have your policy, you're insured, all the way to, unfortunately, there is a fire maybe in your garden, and you need to claim. So a claim. all the way to, the financial result of that company. So the entire process. So we've created a simulator that simulates, it's a game where you play against others, with others, and you are a salesperson who needs to sell this insurance and understand the risk that you are underwriting, the risk you're including in your portfolio. And if I'm not speaking clearly, please stop me.
No, everything good.
Okay,
I can still follow. I hope people who are listening as well.
Yeah. So sorry if it's not as clear.
They can rewind. So
so basically, it's a whole value chain from A to Z in the insurance industry, and then for each part of there, you have a whole simulator. It's a whole game, and at each part of that, you can have an online course. So you say, but I'm not good at selling. There's an online course for selling. Oh, but I don't know how to do the underwriting, the risk assessment in insurance for fire insurance or whatever. So we have an online course for this. So we have online courses linked to that insurance simulator, and these are in web browser that it takes place.
It's like an e-learning, like a web-based training or a video course or something like that.
Yeah, the e-courses are web-based, and the other one is really like a game, a web-based game. Like imagine when you play stocks, stocks, and you can make some more money, etc. That's these kind of systems. And then at some point you say, all right, okay, I get the concept, but what does it look like? Well, if you want to experience fire insurance, you're not going to burn a house.
No.
And it's expensive.
At least not in the real world.
Exactly. Not in the real world, but you can do this in a virtual world. You can burn the house, you can burn the car, you can do plenty of crazy things that happen that are subject to claims in insurance.
So you're actually burning the house of your client.
And actually our CTO Patrice burned the house of a beautiful sports car in the virtual world. It's really cool, man.
So you're actually creating your own insurance case of That's cool.
And one thing about insurance there, a lot of people think, when I meet people, say, what do you do, Philippe? Oh, well, I do online training for insurance companies. Oh. I thought it would have been something interesting. And it is interesting because insurance is it's an industry which protects the people you love and the things you like. But it has a bad reputation, and these can be and should be changed because do something really important for our societies.
Yeah, it's very similar than talking about compliance training. So maybe that's the next part you can get into.
Well,
if you're doing the insurance well, then you're best set for doing really highly engaging compliance training.
Well, we have a few compliance modules now.
I guess you need them as well for the insurance, right?
Clear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool. Yeah, sounds interesting. I would really like to get a little bit deeper into also the part of the 3D world, and because you are saying you're also helping to create the metaverse, so maybe you can say a little bit about what does it mean for you, the metaverse, and a small little question. And also which technologies come together for you in your solution.
Okay. Right, first I'll jump in the first question. What is the metaverse? So there's as many definitions as people, I guess, but I'll give you my definition. The metaverse, basically we have the internet, okay? And the first part of the internet, the first version of the internet was the web. That's where you go on a web browser, you see these web pages. That's the web, okay? Now, the next web, the future web, it's not in 2D like in our web browsers, but it's a immersive web. It's a metaverse. That's how I would define that. The metaverse is the web of the future, the internet of the future. And it's quite probably 3D. And the metaverse is composed, if the web is composed of websites, the metaverse for me is composed of virtual worlds that can interact with one another if you want. So you function in Decentraland, one of the virtual worlds, and your avatar goes now to the sandbox, goes to maybe Second Life, and goes to OpenSea, and goes to etc. So that's my definition of the metaverse: is the internet of the future, probably in 3D, composed of virtual worlds.
And how does your solution fit into that? Because right now you have that kind of training platform and 3D world that is closed, right? So you offer that to specific customers. Are you planning to open that as well? Like, for example, to the whole insurance world, so they can one day in the future they can come in and they can go to the front desk and say, hey, I would like to have a training, and then you are there and you would welcome them and you would offer that to them, or would you keep that in a closed way?
I was going to say to your first part of the question, yes, dot.
What was I asking? I don't remember.
You gotta follow your questions. No. But yes, totally. We first need to have our own system, so we have it under control. We can do things and steer it the way we want, but we are strong believers in opening it. Partnerships. We're still a small company, you know.
Yeah.
So we can only succeed if there are different partners. So we open this virtual world within the metaverse. To be clear, a virtual world for insurance companies. Our wish is to have partners. Are there plenty of insurance companies? Other trainers, insurance trainers? Why not? You know. And we all converge in one environment where you could maybe buy land if you want. It's very fashionable now with Decentraland and the Sandbox. So that's why you combine the metaverse, the virtual world, with people who like the blockchain. That's where it comes in the picture. The blockchain, cryptocurrencies. That's the link between the two.
Maybe you buy a land with a house on it that you can burn down in order to simulate insurance cases. But yeah, that's interesting. And I would like to go again to the topic of the technology, because you're also mentioning crypto and these things. So, I mean, we mainly until now we talked about 3D simulation, 3D animation, and also virtual reality. But you're aspiring to do much more. You're combining artificial intelligence with augmented reality. You're also looking at NFTs and how you can, have tokens that to reward also people for learning something. Can you talk a little bit about your plans there?
Sounds very simple, right?
It's so simple. Like it's gonna be done tomorrow, right?
I think I have a word for that. Let's do that. Okay, ecosystem.
Yeah.
That was the answer.
Okay, so can you elaborate on
that?
I
have to elaborate on that. Okay, I'll do that.
I'm not going to make it so easy for you, I'm sorry.
I can see that in your eyes. It's building an ecosystem, a whole economy actually, where you create the premise with a virtual world, as I said, where you can have different actors. They would maybe buy land, create houses, cars, so that you can create whole scenarios. And you could be a designer, fantastic designer. You create beautiful houses that I can burn then after that, or something like this in a virtual world. Okay? And then everybody could and it would be decentralized. So that's I'm really a strong believer in decentralization. DeFi, these kind of things. To empower different actors to contribute to that system, the ecosystem.
And can you talk a little bit more concretely about what you're planning to do with your insurance training, also in the area of rewards? And I think we talked about it on the hike or the last meeting we had.
It was a good hike, eh?
Yeah, it was a long hike, actually, 4 hours. We had a lot of time to talk about it. But it was really interesting, and I took a lot with me, as you can see now. No, I think what I found really interesting is also the what you talked about, incentivizing people to learn, and working with crypto, with your own crypto. And can you talk a little bit about it?
I love it. No,
I know
I'm not
you
going
love
to stop.
it.
Okay, all right. Now, one thing we've seen working with clients in Latin America, in Asia, in Scandinavia, in Switzerland, Europe, even Africa now we're starting, is it's even these bright people who take our courses, well, you have other things to do, all right? So how do you get them to do you say you have to do your online courses, but very often in some of the big tech companies I'm not going to name, management has to whip people to get it done.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
So first, the courses, I've seen that they're not exactly super enticing. And then you have really management has to push people again and again, saying you won't get your bonus if you don't do it. What if you could have an incentive? And there is something called the blockchain. Now, you can have incentives like miles, these points you put on your LMS. Everybody has it. You have your LMS, you get 5 points, 10 levels, and wow, fantastic, you're going from one level. But it's worthless. It has no intrinsic, no real value. That's what the blockchain can change.
Only peer pressure by leaderboards or something
exactly,
like that.
Exactly
that's
that.
Also not very nice.
No. We have that too. But this one is also based on with real cryptos.
Okay.
Yeah. That's some other issues with legal aspect, with cryptos, but let's not mix everything right now. So we created our own crypto. You can do that if you want. It's very simple actually. You create your tokens, and then you can start developing a system mechanism to allocate these tokens. So you did this course about fire insurance, for example, to go back to the fire thing. Okay, great. But you did it with top marks, and you did it within 2 weeks instead of the management coming after you in 3 months. So there you get the coins, not points, but coins, real cryptocurrencies, to reward you for doing it faster or within a certain time frame. Now, the difference with these normal points in the LMS is that you have them in your digital wallet. They have a real value. There could be an exchange, a marketplace out there, out of your control as a company, for example. And people exchange this. So it has a real value, and you can go to partners who are in the same program and spend these crypto. So it goes away from the points you had in your LMS now and become more like a miles system, from airline companies. But even more, because when the airline company disappears, your miles systems, and you don't own them actually, they do what they want. But it's a crypto and you own your own things. Same thing with the NFTs.
Yeah. Yeah, and the NFT topic is also really interesting because on that same hike, I think.
It was a good one, eh? Yeah. Let's go. I'm going on a hike tomorrow. Are you going there, by the way?
Yeah, I'm going there tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Awesome. We're going to have a nice discussion.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll continue our discussion from today. But on that same hike, we met Lars, a Danish guy who was actually doing or founded a platform, Art Money, a couple of years ago. And it's all about, he just thought about creating his own money, and he said, I don't want to need euros to go to places and to eat and stuff, but I want to be able to create my own money and to spend it. So he started painting little pieces of art and putting a fixed price on them, which is 30 euros. And then he started going to shops and trying to pay with it. And actually it worked. And I think he said that even he once traveled in the US for 4 weeks and he only lived on spent artwork. Giving that to hotel chains and everybody was so interested in that. And
he's an amazing guy. He's got a special charisma, right?
Yeah. But I love that. And then he said, for sure, we also want to go in the digital sphere and not only have it like physical pieces of art, but digital. And then you said something interesting, and you said, maybe we also can have a collaboration with them of giving NFTs, which is the digital art piece, as rewards to learning participants.
You heard that?
Yeah, I heard that as well.
Well, my God! Now we're giving some hidden thing, but totally. Can you imagine? You bought some of his art, 2 or 3 pieces, I think, and they were beautiful. I did buy one too because I loved it. It showed the beautiful sunset with the beach over there. And I think this idea is great. Imagine you do some real. You anchor back the digital world into the physical world again with a real piece of art created by a real artist. I get goosebumps thinking about that. And then you transform this into an NFT and an actual reward for learners. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I love it.
It's great.
Yeah.
And you can maybe even choose whether you want to have cryptocurrencies for that or whether you rather want to have digital art or something like that. Yeah. It's really up to you to decide what you want to have. Yeah.
And imagine now that you are a top performer or someone who's done something special in the learning. You contributed some of your knowledge. In our ecosystem. You taught something. So people start awarding you some NFTs within our ecosystem.
Yeah.
And then you say, wow, hey, Wilma did some really cool stuff. We learned a lot from her, or she contributed on these forums, etc. So they sent you some coins and maybe an NFT as a great contributor. This would be based on this art.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you can have this piece of art. You own it. It's your own property. It might even improve. If it becomes the Picasso of the 21st century, it might have a high value in the future. You never know. So that's...
Absolutely.
Makes it much more exciting.
Absolutely. I think that's the interesting thing, that it might have a specific value now, that you are rewarded for learning something, but it's like an investment. It might be worth much more in the future. And I like the fact that it's not only about, let's say, money, it's more about building the future together and, having that, participating in the future Yeah, that's really cool. So I really like the way how you approach this of combine, and that's what the metaverse is about, of combining different technologies, like not only and that's a misunderstanding that a lot of people think the metaverse is the 3D world, and it's not that. The metaverse is actually combining all these disruptive technologies like blockchain, like artificial intelligence, 3D or VR, augmented reality, combining it all together to create a new world where people can move freely and where they can collaborate, where they can play, where they can socialize.
Yep.
And I envision it a little bit like I was in Space VR a lot of times already, and one time I met with a group just spontaneously. I didn't know them, and one of the guys, he was taking us with him to a different world which looked like the streets of New York. And you walked with your avatar through the streets, and then you had little spots on the entrance of the houses, and you could actually click on that entrance, and then you were entering a different world, like a nightclub or whatever. And that's how I envision it, that there is one central place where you have streets, where you have normal life going on, and then you have different buildings and different areas, and through these hotspots you're connecting the different virtual worlds with that like common place, so you can always exit the house and go somewhere else and enter another house, and maybe you will be in your training center of your for insurance companies, and then you go out again, you walk down the street, and maybe you go to a socializing event, to a little party with the DJ, and you come out again, and maybe then you meet in your own house, which is your own virtual world where you can just hang around and meet with your friends. And that's how everything, I think, will be connected one day, and we're not so far away from that. The question is rather also the acceptance and the ethical questions that we need to answer as well.
And the ethical question, we could maybe come that another time.
Yeah.
I've experienced some really interesting things in the virtual world that I would not at the beginning.
Yeah.
Many years ago when we started with that, when you see, oh wow, okay, it's really to the power. It's much more powerful than an Instagram, for example. That's why you have Facebook, now Meta, that's going there, because the type of engagement you get from a metaverse versus the internet as we know it is tremendous.
And but there is a lot of questions to be answered, because if people can be there anonymously with an avatar that is completely different, and you don't even know where they come from, you don't have that sense that you have when you meet people, like know immediately. I mean, depends on how good your antennas are, right? But usually is that an okay person or not? If you see an avatar, you don't have that feeling. So I think we need to make very sure that people feel secure. Psychological safety is also a question there. Lots of other topics to answer. But before I now come to my last three questions, because I think I actually forgot to look at the watch when we started, but I looked like 10 minutes later, so I think we have to soon come to an end.
No.
Yeah, but I'll invite you for another interview. Don't worry, we'll continue our conversation.
And I can have some of these little good things you have.
The sweets. Sweets? You can.
Cool. All right. Okay, let's finish the interview.
Crunchy
stuff. Okay, let's finish it.
So the challenges in this area is definitely the ethical questions, the topics of also psychological safety. Do you see any other challenges right now, also maybe with your customers, what adoption is concerned? Why are they maybe hesitate? What are the challenges they are facing in entering this world?
Okay. I can tell you the challenges
you are facing.
I am facing. Let's do that, okay? Yeah. We did I think it was 6, even 7 years ago in Hong Kong or in Switzerland. We were using our systems in the virtual world with learners of different ages, from teenagers to early adults to grown-up managers in big companies. And actually the main issue we had, first I thought, oh my God, they're going to think that our virtual worlds, it's not good enough, it doesn't look good. Wrong! Because you have a Grand Theft Auto, GTA, you have plenty, and new generation is used to beautiful, incredible rendering. And I'm like, oh my God, ours is not that level. It's a virtual world, it's not a game as such. And that was absolutely not an issue. They loved it once they were in. So our issue was getting in. Because we had to get people to install a viewer.
Yeah.
And that was a Big no-go. It's still a big no-go in most companies. That's still a big issue. So that's why you see some of the virtual worlds that you also actually tested are browser-based. Brings other issues, but still. So our issue was to get people to go in there. And the second issue was mentally, especially from big companies saying, what do you want me to go in a virtual world for?
Yeah.
You know? And like 2 weeks ago, we talked with a very big insurance company where we were testing a new implementation to get the feedback from users. They were around 22, 23 years old selling insurance. And one of them was sitting and say, do you think I'm going to play? Well, most of the others were really happy about it. But so basically, to summarize it, it was the viewer, getting people in the virtual world, and the second was really the mindset around that. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that the first topic, the viewer, it's changing now. I mean, that's, I think, the main success factor for the metaverse to be able to take off is to be available in the browser and multi-device, so everywhere. So you don't need VR goggles, and I'm also getting a headache after 30 minutes
Same
already.
thing here. Yeah.
So that's crucial. And the other challenge, the mindset, I think the pandemic has helped. I don't know how you see it, but I think the pandemic has helped a little bit of opening up people towards online worlds. Now we have to see how it continues, because a lot of people now are very eager to go back to the physical world, and because they are so sick of Teams and co. But I still think that they can really already see a little bit the potential that there is, much more than they did before, because before they didn't even have an interest in online collaboration because they were sitting in their office. So
I totally agree with you. I mean, of course, to all the people who suffered from the terrible COVID crisis, that was terrible, but it has helped. I remember before 3 years ago, we were talking to some big companies. Okay, so when are you coming in the office? I said, we don't. We don't come to see you, actually. We'd love to see you, but in a video conference. But we cannot. I cannot name these companies, but they're really, really big. Say, you cannot what? Well, we cannot have video conference systems with external companies.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, it's 3 years ago? 3 years ago. And really leading companies. I'm like, wow. And without the COVID, we would not have come. And I remember still, even 2 years ago, some people saying, oh, Zoom, it's not safe, for example. But now it's changed. So we needed that. And maybe we took 5 or 10 years of increased speed for the digitization. We're highly needed.
Absolutely. And I think it's always good to see also the good thing in a crisis, although it's for sure many bad things, but also some good things came out of that. Okay, so now finally really coming to my last 3 questions, because because I want you to be able to eat the sweets here, because I can see that the water is already running down.
I've been looking at them,
I can see that. First question is around the topic of what do you, if you look at the future of learning within the next 10 years, what do you think, what will learning look like in 2030, something around that timeline, in the next 5 to 10 years?
Learning, hopefully, will be full of stories. Storytelling will be at the core of it. Because all the gamification things to make it interesting is just some sugarcoating. So the core has to be a story. For insurance, humankind goes to Mars. Wow, I get the goosebump. That's thanks to insurance, partly technology and insurance. So that's putting the story around what you're doing in the learning, the context, the beautiful story, human story, and it will be highly immersive, like a positive matrix, hopefully combined with real world experiences. Because I really strongly believe in the blended learning, in the seamless learning, going from one environment to the next. It's not virtual or digital, it's virtual and digital. And AI will be...
And physical.
And physical, sorry.
Yeah.
Oops.
Virtual, digital, and physical.
Thank you.
No worries.
And you have AI at the core. AI is there, it's a key. AI will make it possible to customize every single learning journey for every single learner. And to create content much faster and to adapt it to every single person. So I'm actually quite looking forward to that. It's going to be my dream. I've dreamt of that for decades now. It sounds really crazy, but yeah, it's coming. Yeah.
You're not that old yet. At least you don't look that old.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. But so yeah. That's. I think it's going to be fantastic. Really awesome.
Where are you getting all this inspiration from? Like, do you have anybody who you follow, or did you read up a lot on the topics? Like, where are you getting your ideas from?
I think it's about, first of all, we have a great CTO, our Chief Technology Officer, Patrice. He loves tech even more than I do.
By the way, your brother, right?
By the way, my brother. Hey, Pat, I hope you're doing well and you listen to that. But but really, AI, virtual world, metaverse, blockchain, he loves it. And we're very lucky that we have amazing friends and an amazing team around us. Really bright minds who give us advice, who show the path. I have to admit, several years ago, I did not understand blockchain, just to do my mea culpa. And so a friend of mine, Alex, who said, hey, look at that. I'm like, huh? Oh, yeah, it's the future of money. What? So it's thanks to all these very exciting friends of ours and hikes that we meet.
Hikes,
and hiking is good. If I can give an advice now here, hiking is really important.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So hiking,
to
summarize.
That's great, because I think that already answers the last question that I have, is what would you recommend to people who actually want to participate in this new and shape the world of new learning? Hiking would be an idea.
Exactly.
meeting with random people.
Yes.
Right? And maybe also asking open questions.
Yeah.
I'm answering my own question. Maybe you should go.
No, keep going. It's fine.
And having genuine interest in people as well, right?
Yeah.
Being able to listen, not only to talk. Yeah.
Well, you don't learn when you talk. You learn when you listen.
Absolutely. I think that's a great end of my podcast. And if you have any other sources, like, events or also books or something like that you would like to share, I can put them in the show notes later on. So maybe some people, they are interested in reading more. I would love that. But thank you so much, Philippe.
Hey, my pleasure.
Merci beaucoup.
It's a plaisir. Thanks for having me. It was great.
You're very welcome. And I can already see the second episode of our podcast.
Wow. Okay, so now it's time for cookies. Good.
Sounds great. And I think we're going to go bachata dancing later. So right?
That's how we get the creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving. That's another tip. Like, physical movement is very important, especially if you spend so much time in front of the laptop. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. All the best for you and for your company. I'm sure you will achieve your vision.
Thank you very much.
And I will follow you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care. All the best.
For you too.